Welcome to Football is Life. I know the running back position has been devalued in the NFL as of today, but now we're here to talk about a running back who played 10 seasons in the NFL, who led the league in rushing 4 times and in rushing touchdowns once, establishing himself as one of the most elusive runners in the history of the NFL with quickness and agility, despite being only 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighing 203 pounds. This is what happened to Barry Sanders. Let's get it. Barry Sanders was born on July the 16th, 1968 in Wichita, Kansas, the 7th of 11 children to William and Shirley Sanders. His father worked as a roofer and a carpenter while his mother worked as a homemaker for the Sanders family. Sanders and 2 of his brothers worked as roofers' assistants to his father. As a child, Sanders was known for having an appetite, being able to eat an entire loaf of bread in one sitting. He would often listen to regional college sports games that his father would play on TV. Mitch Albom of the Detroit Free Press wrote, "All day they would labor with the hammers, with guitars, sweating in a hot summer sun. You did not complain in the Sanders family, not unless you wanted a good whooping." So his dad instilled that work ethic into his boys at a young age. He did not want them to go astray, so he showed them tough love. I know sometimes tough love can be too tough, but sometimes tough love is what keeps you out of harm's way. Tough love is what keeps you out of trouble. Tough love is what keeps you from going down that wrong road. So Barry Sanders' father always tried to instill him with that tough love, so maybe he can pass that down to his kids, and maybe he can make something of himself one day. And when you're young as a child, you don't see it. You think your father is being hard on you, but he's trying to teach you a lesson, because there is a lot more evils out here that can attract your attention and lead you astray fast. So with tough love, that was what instilled in Barry Sanders at a very young age. Barry Sanders played football at Wichita North High School. Before this, he enjoyed playing youth football and basketball. Sanders started at tailback in his sophomore year in high school, but his brother Byron started before him in that position during Barry's following junior year. When Byron graduated and left for Northwestern University on a football scholarship, Sanders was expected to start at tailback in his senior year, but instead was started at wingback in a variant of the wide receiver position instead. So his brother was already there putting in work before Barry, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like a little brother trying to fill his big brother's shoes after his big brother got a football scholarship. He left on to travel and do better endeavors. Barry Sanders was going to take over that tailback position, but they actually put him at wingback, kind of maybe to do to his size. You know what I'm saying? Because Barry Sanders wasn't a very tall guy, but he was fast and very agile. His coach at the time perceived that his small stature would be a liability and that he lacked contact courage. Besides taking part in football, he played basketball as a guard. Now see, I can tell that coach didn't know Barry Sanders, because Barry Sanders can take contact. This man was small, but he could take a beating and he would keep on eating. You know what I'm saying? He would keep on going. Barry Sanders could take contact. His coach in high school did not know how tough that this guy really was at that time. Table tennis and baseball were some of the sports that Barry Sanders also tried to take part in. During this period, according to the writer of the Crompton Sanders family, had to scrimp and save to get by. Let's just be honest, bro. This was back in the day. It wasn't a lot of money going around. They already got 11 children in the house to feed, along with the 2 adults there. So that makes it 13 people that you have to feed on a daily basis. So, there wasn't a lot of cash going around, especially back in those times. Barry Sanders did not become a starting running back until the 4th game into his senior year, when the original player was suspended for disciplinary reasons. He rushed for 274 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. He rushed for 1,417 yards on 139 rushing attempts, averaging 10.2 yards per rushing attempt, and scored 17 touchdowns through the first 7 games of his senior season. Just imagine that. Your coach is saying, oh, I'm not going to put him at running back. I'm going to put him at wing back. And I'm going to play him at wide receiver. And then somebody gets suspended. And then your number gets called. And then you get in the game. And then you run for almost 300 yards. Come on, bro. I know his coach is looking like, dang, I should have had this guy starting in the beginning of the season. Yeah, you might have should have done that. In the last game of the season, Wichita North's head coach Dale Burkholder offered Barry Sanders more playing time in order to gain enough rushing yards to reach the state rushing title, but Sanders declined, saying it was not important. For his season, Barry Sanders earned All-State honors and was named an honorable mention All-American. And that maybe could be a little bit of foreshadowing before we get to the more of the end of the story. Although he was viewed as a stellar athlete because of his short stature, Barry Sanders received scholarship offers from only Wichita State University, Iowa State University, and the University of Tulsa, and Oklahoma State University, Stillwater. He accepted the offer from Oklahoma State. Barry Sanders loved the school. He loved Oklahoma State, bro. He wanted to play for them, you know what I'm saying? But he often later said that the choice to play with Oklahoma State caused a conflict between him and his father. When Oklahoma State coach came to his father's house with a letter of intent the day that Sanders signed with the team, his father was frustrated, saying the coach walked out the door saying that Barry Sanders was making a big mistake when signing with the team. His dad was against it, bro. Now, I don't know what the case was that his dad was mad with Oklahoma State and he didn't want Barry to go there. He may have wanted Barry to go a different route, but this kind of caused a conflict between Barry and his dad, because Barry was making a decision for himself as a man, and his dad still wanted to make decisions for him as his son. So, you know, that was a conflict there. Another reason his dad was mad because he was signing with Oklahoma State was that he was a fan of the Oklahoma Sooners, and he didn't want them playing. He didn't want his son playing against the same team that he was a fan of. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of somewhat of the backstory. And then plus, you know, Thurman Thomas was a very, very good running back that played for Oklahoma State. And, you know, Barry Sanders playing behind Thurman Thomas as opposed to playing at a school where he would be the starting running back. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of like didn't sit well with his dad. But eventually his father supported Sanders at Oklahoma State and attended all of his games when he played. Even the ones against Oklahoma, of course. Barry Sanders enrolled at Oklahoma State University, where he played for the Oklahoma State Cowboys from 1986 to 1988 and wore the number 21 jersey. During his first 2 years, he backed up Thurman Thomas at running back. In 1986, Sanders played in 8 games and rushed for 325 yards on 74 rushing attempts with 2 rushing touchdowns. In 1987, he led the nation in yards per kickoff return while rushing for 603 yards and scoring 9 rushing touchdowns, catching 4 passes for 58 receiving yards and a touchdown, and scoring 2 touchdowns for 29 total special team returns. Barry Sanders was like an X factor, but Thurman Thomas was the bruiser, and this guy was the scat back. He would come in there, he would do his little 1-2, he'd go on special teams, go over there, do his little 1-2. Thurman Thomas is tired, he'd come in there, do his little scat back thing, score a touchdown. Barry Sanders was all over the place, bro. He was just that nice. And really, it kind of kept him fresh, because just imagine him having to carry the whole workload at another college. But being that he had somebody already in front of him that was already a prominent back, and that he didn't have to carry the whole load, it kept him fresh actually going into the next year. You know what I'm saying? And going into the NFL. He was named second team college football All-American as a return specialist. While still a backup to Thomas, he received notable attention from his opponents. Oklahoma Sooners head coach Barry Switzer in particular told his players not to injure Thomas in fear of Sanders starting in his place, telling them, "You won't touch this kid." Sanders was not fond to this, as he believed Thomas to be a good teammate. Thomas moved to the NFL in 1988, which allowed Sanders to become the starter for his junior year in college. Barry Switzer already knew what's up. He said, look, if Barry Sanders is on the field, this guy gonna be doing the cut-ups. He's gonna be leaning back, doing all, like, you're not gonna touch this guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, in 1988, in what is considered to be one of the greatest individual seasons in college football history, Barry Sanders became the first player to open 2 consecutive seasons with a 100-yard kickoff return. He led the nation by averaging 7.6 yards per attempt and over 200 yards per game, including rushing for over 300 yards in 4 games. Despite his massive workload of 344 attempts, Sanders was still used as the team's punt and kickoff returner, adding another 516 yards on special teams. He set college football season records for 2,628 yards rushing, 3,248 yards total on all-purpose yards. But it was broken by Christian McCaffrey in 2015. But it was held up all the way to then. Just imagine that from 1988 all the way to 2015, Barry Sanders held that record, bro. Let that sink in. This guy set so many records and had so many accolades in college, just like so crazy. This guy had the most rushing touchdowns in the game, most 3+ rushing touchdowns in the game, most rushing yards gained in 3, 4, and 5 game span, most all-purpose yards in the game, most rushing yards per game in the season. It was just crazy. Barry Sanders was that dude. Barry Sanders was a college junior and was originally ineligible for the NFL draft. However, Oklahoma State had been under investigation by the NCAA for going against recruiting rules and later was given significant penalties for their violation. If Sanders had stayed for his senior season, his games would have not been televised and the Cowboys would be ineligible for a college bowl game that year. Look, I would have said I'm out too, bro. After all this stuff y'all getting investigated, my games ain't gonna be on TV, we're not going to a bowl game, I'm out of here. My senior season, I'm just going to have to surpass that. You know what I'm saying? So the Detroit Lions drafted Barry Sanders 3rd overall in 1989 in the NFL draft after Troy Aikman and Tony Mandarich, thanks to the endorsements of head coach Wayne Fontes. The Lions competed in the Central Division of the National Football Conference, the NFC, 1970. The football team had made the postseason only twice and had not had a season or at above the 500 win and losses since their most recent playoff season in the 1983 season. So when he went to the Lions, bro, it wasn't like he was going to the Tom Brady Patriots. It's not like he was going, over there with Bill Belichick or somebody. You know what I'm saying? He was going to a team that had only been to the playoffs maybe once or twice. That is crazy. And normally they look for a quarterback to come in and change and be the savior of the franchise. This was a running back that they drafted 3rd overall, bro. So they knew it was something special about Barry. And they really wanted to draft another Sanders, but they drafted the best Sanders. They wanted Dion, but they got Barry. You know what I'm saying? So they drafted the right player when they did that. You know what I'm saying? Now Barry Sanders is at camp. You know what I'm saying? He didn't participate in training camp of his rookie season due to a contract dispute. He eventually came to the monetary terms with the Lions, signing the deal for 5 years, $9.5 million, including a $2.1 million signing bonus, 10% of which will be donated to his local church. In his first Lions press conference, Barry Sanders prefaced that he wanted to assist in restoring the franchise reputation in the NFL landscape, stating that he wanted to help restore the roar in the dome. Barry Sanders was that dude. As a rookie in 1989, Sanders started 13 out of the possible 16 games for the Lions. In his first career professional game against the Phoenix Cardinals on September 10th, Barry Sanders ran for 71 yards on 9 attempts and scored a rushing touchdown. Against the Chicago Bears, he compiled 126 yards on 18 attempts and a touchdown, but became injured with bruised ribs and a hip pointer that plagued him through the rest of the season. Barry Sanders had a game against the Minnesota Vikings. He had 23 attempts for 99 yards. After the game, Vikings head coach Jerry Burns asked the officials to check to see if Barry Sanders had applied silicone to himself. So, Burns believed that this was why the players had difficulty tackling him. That is crazy, bro. That is crazy. That dude was really that elusive. A lot of people don't know this, but Barry Sanders actually won the MVP of the NFL. This guy was one of the best running backs that ever touched a football. If you know about football, then you know about Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions and the statistics and everything that he put up. He had a chance to break Walter Payton's record. This guy gracefully bowed out and said, "I don't want to do that." He had so much respect for the game and for Walter Payton that he did not want to go out there and break the record. But he could have. But he turned around, he stood up, he threw his hands up with 2 fingers, and he walked away from the game. Sometimes walking away isn't quitting. Walking away is when you've done all you can do. When you've given something all you can give it. And then you turn around and you just say, I'm letting the generation behind me. On July 27, 1999, Sanders announced his retirement from pro football the day before the Lions training camp was set to start. His retirement was made public by faxing a letter to the Wichita Eagle, his hometown newspaper. In the letter, he wrote, "Shortly after the end of my last season, I felt I probably would not return for the 1999-2000 season. I also felt that I should not take as much time as possible to sort through my feelings and make sure that my feelings were back with my conviction. Today I officially declare my departure from football and the NFL." He left football healthy, having gained 15,269 yards, the most ever by an NFL player in a 10-year span. He retired with 1,457 rushing yards from breaking Walter Payton's record. It has been speculated that Sanders would have surpassed the record if he had not retired early, a view held by Emmitt Smith, the eventually holder of the record. His father praised him for his decision, saying that took guts. Sanders took time in his decision, waiting to the last minute. His retirement avoided $20.9 million in collective salary and bonuses, along with millions of dollars in endorsements. He lost money, but he walked away with his integrity. Money can't buy certain things. And with that said, salute to Barry Sanders. He is regarded, ranked number 1 by Bleacher Report, by one of the best running backs in NFL history. And with all that said, this is the story of what happened to Barry Sanders. Subscribe. Football is life. Till next time, I'm out.